As I said earlier, we're going to have some news. And welcome guys, welcome Shadow Fighters to yet another Shadow Fight 3 video, where we're going to be covering some Telegram FAQ. Not really Q&A, but they are similar, but we call it, but in this way we're getting an FAQ Telegram update, which was released on the Discord and can also be read on the Telegram. I'm not sure if it's on other media, if the developers have actually posted anything about that, but if so, you can check it out over there. But we have it on the Discord, and this is the latest questions that were asked and answered by the developers. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out those questions and see what the answers the developers have made and what the questions and answers mean to the game itself. And of course, whenever I read them and I try to theorize what it means, it might be only my way to figure out what is going on with this questions and answer. What do we get out of that? You can share your opinion about how you get out of that compared to mine. That's completely fine. So without anything further to say, we're going to be heading on to some fresh news. Starting up with question number 1. Will updated graphics be added from the Shadow Fight Arena to Shadow Fight 3? And the answer is, we really like the updated graphics in SFA, but one of the priorities of Shadow Fight 3 is maximum accessibility for players, so we will not update the game graphics for now, so that this does not affect the performance. And this is because not everyone has a really good device. In fact, we're living in a world that different countries have different kinds of luxury, you might say. So some people will have a good luxury and can run the highest graphics of the game, while some people can only run a minimal graphic of the game because their device can only run that high and not even higher than that. And the only thing that I do see change is the slight changes of the character, but also the background of the map where you fight will change. That is the graphics quality. So yeah, it's a really interesting suggestion, but again, it is going to limit the amount of players who's going to be playing the game. And in Shadow Fight Arena, they are updating the graphics, so they are amping up the graphics, but they know that their burn is going to be less players available in the game. They're going to have less players who are able to play it, because those players who played Shadow Fight 3 at minimum quality will sure not be able to play the game at a higher quality. They cannot be able to play SFA, although they would really like to. So for them, it's not going to be a really good situation for them if they have to buy a new device only to play one game. But that's up to them to think about whether they want to have a new device, whether they want to have a new device and get the game itself. Alright, so moving on to question number 2. Will there be other way to get paid for equipment except through a marathon? If the colors are warmly received by the players, then we will add other ways to obtain them. I did ask for a second right there, not for a second. I did ask for some time ago in the Discord, in that Discord server, to the Shadow Fighter developer, whether or not the colors should be obtainable from the shop, and he said maybe later on that the colors will be available from the shop. And by that, I'm pretty much thinking when they've already broadened up the amount of colors available, because currently we have like 8 colors available. I don't know if you look at the color palette over here. Yeah, we have 3 times 5. You have 15 colors available for the game, but ironically though, white isn't available, but it's represented as bleach and not actually as a default color or anything like that. It just shows as bleach, no default color, and it shows a jar of the white. Makes halfway sense in a UI context. Maybe white color will be available later on, so it can make interesting looks with the white color. But anyways, back to the real thing. So they're probably going to be available somewhere else eventually, because for now we can only grind the marathons, and marathons aren't always a really nice thing to get stuff from. Of course, you can pay a good good effort and actually manage to get a good rewards. But in the end, right there, there's going to be not everyone who have time to play Shadow Fight 3 only to get marathons and get the cosmetics and all this stuff, and perhaps they don't even have the much time for marathon and barely reach a milestone. So that's one thing about it. So maybe it's gonna be some side reward. We know for a fact that you can obtain from marathons, you can obtain it from booster packs inside the event, so it's pretty much event based. Outside of that spectrum, we don't even see colors anywhere else. It's just on marathons and events that we get to get the colors. But hopefully the colors will be available in the shop later on, because at that point I think the developers have broadened up the amount of colors that they have. So that's something to think about right there. So question number 3: will it be possible to recolor a character in 2 or 3 colors and not just one? And the answer is, at the moment, we want to understand how interesting our players are to the mechanics of customization and what else can be done to develop it. So we only have one kind of base color that we can change. We only have one base color that we can change, and we don't have detail colors like this armor piece. For example, if we go to, what should be a really good example right here? Like, I would say Void Warden for my own part. I would say Void Warden. Let's say I customize my boy Void Warden. We can only have the base color. We can only paint this section as we can call the base color. And the armor color could be something else. And detail 1, detail 2 can be different colors. So you can have a whole mix of your own style. And even the emissions, the lighting, they're also called emission. Emission and lighting are the same thing when it comes to modeling. So yeah, the lighting could also change. That you can have the ability to change color and actually have a red lighting Void Warden. That could be really interesting though, if you have a red lighting Void Warden. How do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? That could be something. But that's the whole entire idea of the question. It is to possibly have a broader aspect of the coloring system, where you can not just color this part, base part, but the light and the other details, which could make a really interesting character if we mix and match colors and see what kind of colors do fit together really well. I think that's going to be a very interesting thing that can happen. So yeah, let's move on to question number 4. Will there be more new types of paint? Yes, they will, but today there's no final decisions on colors. And yeah, this kind of goes back to the question where I talked about whether or not the colors will be available elsewhere. And more colors, I'm not surprised that there are going to be more colors, because we need more colors. Maybe some colors can be more fitting to one set than another, and not like breaking the set, or just having a good vibe with that kind of color that you get. And of course, we don't get a chance to get specific colors yet until they provide the colors into the shop, which could help us a little bit more onto getting the colors. So yeah, we just have to wait. Yeah, moving on to question number 5. What about giving prizes for duel battles? The first 10 places in the top 100, should they be encouraged? A good idea. We will consider the proposal and think about how we can reward players for their success. Now, I'm a Norwegian player, and not that many people in Norway are playing the game. So if I am the only guy that grinds metric ton, I can possibly get some tasty rewards from the leaderboard. But as for now, I'm not thinking any much about it at the moment. I haven't even grinded duels. I should have, because I can get some coins that can help me a little bit through the events and balance the amount, regulate the amount of coins bank that I have. But giving the rewards could be an interesting thing, but it also going to be provoking a lot of grinding and a lot of competition in grinding, and also going to be provoking the algorithm of selecting certain opponents that turn out to be stronger than you, and eventually selecting opponents that will probably be unbeatable statistically by the stats loading when you cannot hit the opponent, and when you can hit the opponent but they don't take damage. So if we get to the point where the opponent is unbeatable by the stats, then it's not really a good pace. That means the player who have the highest power will be the ones who actually have the highest opportunity to get high in the ranks and actually stay top 1, and which will also pressure to get some event gear to up the power and also adopt into using that so you can beat up other opponents. So it's kind of certain that the developers have considered it. It is for a fact a good price, but the process and the battles that will come by just for that, it's going to be something that makes this idea pretty uncertain to have, because maybe it's not big of a competition here in the northern end. Maybe it's a very big competition in the US where more people are paying quite a bit to get the good stuff and also get high power and get the high ranks, because leaderboards aren't performance based. It's only grinding based. And the fact that we have this algorithm where it gradually selects higher power opponents, you gotta have a stopping point. And that will only lead to players who have it will only lead to the players who have the highest stats possible, that they will be the ones who have the best opportunity to get the top 1 and get the stuff. But in the end, though, if that is a person who already collected almost everything in the game, it's kind of a neat thing to begin with, and then in the end, it might get less interesting. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens though, because that's what I think. So we also have 2 parts, because there was 5 questions on each part, and I already went through 5 of them thoroughly, and I'll continue my talk right here. So number 6, will you add new legendary skins, and will they have bonuses like the legendary set? Undoubtedly, new unique skins will still be added, but skins will not have bonuses. This is just a change in the appearance of the kit. I am not surprised, for one, I'm not surprised that some people are asking whether or not the unique skins will have the bonuses, because if they had bonuses, they could have a higher value. Now, since the developers have confirmed that there's not going to be any bonuses, it's both reasonable and also makes the skin of a less value, because remember what happened with the Deep Color Marathon. Players were not particularly happy to see the high milestones. It put them into a condition where whether they have to play a lot to just get the stuff, or just not play and not bother up the skin because it's just a cosmetic. Because if it was a cosmetic with some kind of bonus, then this cosmetic will have some value in it and something worth fighting for. Since it's only just a change in the appearance of the looks, then it's pretty optional for many players to not do the skin if they don't have time for it, if they have bad time for it because of something else happening throughout their lives. So yeah, that's something to think about. Another thing is, part reason to the developers not adding bonuses to the skins is the additional bonuses that's going to be stacking up to the main bonus is going to require quite a bit of programming and also thorough balancing. It just adds up another work to do for the developers. But maybe it might be considered later, but as it's stated, it's not going to happen. Alright, let's move on to question number 7. Do you have any plans for a new project? If so, in which universe? Shadow Fight Arena is currently under development, as well as Spine, a project in a completely new universe not related to Shadow Fight. And not too long ago, they published a video about it. We want to know that these projects are carried out by individuals, and this does not affect their work on the current game Shadow Fight 3. So yeah, this is only a short thing, I have to say, because they're making Spine, which is a half sci-fi universe, which is a half sci-fi, halfway to futurism universe where spine technology is implemented. I've watched the trailer. I'm actually looking forward to what the game can offer, because the futuristic style of that game looks really cool, and I'm really wondering what the developers can do out of it. What kind of looks can we get, and what kind of mechanics we can get out of the game, because the game was a 3v3 based game, so it's going to be another multiplayer game developed after Shadowfire Arena. So the developers are initiating the multiplayer because they never really made one before. Well, they have with friends on the Facebook. Probably it was easier to make an online game, but making a game on its own with its own servers, connecting one player and another in the server base, that's something completely different than just buying an online server from an online website. So yeah, that's only the 7th question. Number 8. When are you going to fix bugs and errors since the release? We are constantly fixing various bugs as well as finalizing many things in different aspects of the game. For 2.5 years since the game released, the game has changed a lot and has become larger in every sense. If you want to report some unpleasant bug, write to our support through the game settings. Well, it's only bugs. It's only bug fixes and changes to the game, and we do for a fact have a bug in my iPad right now, which is the UI not showing up. And we had someone who was talking what made this error, because usually it would sit in the middle with this UI layout right now for the iPad. It just moved down over there, and I've already reported to developers about this bug because it makes it harder to, let's say I'm trying to tap the ability, oops, and now I just missed the button. That's the one concern you have to think about whenever you press it. Of course, if you have this increase your level, then there's no big bothers into pressing the terrorist button in the hell, but you have to press a little bit up if you want to tap on the perk itself. I've actually never pressed a mistake. I was just intentionally showing that I could mistakenly press the button if you were playing on the tablet. So yeah, the game has changed a lot, the UIs have changed, and by now it's a fancy modern layout with some futuristic mix, just a grain of salt futurism along with the traditional old days kind of style. Shinobi, Crusader Knight, and the Chinese Dynasty Warriors, all of those old time stuff, the old days stuff, are what's the main point, are the thing that's the main point in the game. So final question: do you plan to rework the perk leveling system? Perks are undoubtedly a very important feature of the game. We discussed this issue and we have ideas about changes, but at the moment we are focused on other equally important aspects that require careful study. Therefore, it is not planned to change the perk level system yet. If you have any suggestions on this issue, write to us. It would be interesting to consider various options. So yeah, the developers are looking forward, they're looking at the game, see how players play, looking through media and all that good stuff to figure out how players play, how well the players play, what kind of perks they're using, and what will that be for the PvP. Because surely if the judge did not have a one-time shadow remedy, then a lot of people would have used the judge to get a lot of healing. And if 2 players are using the judge, I could already imagine a never-ending battle because of that healing and the transfusion they can have at the same time. So if 2 judges have that, holy, it's gonna be a lot of healing and a never-ending battle if they know what's gonna be happening, and it's only a matter of time before someone has to take a break and get out of that game. So thinking of PvP perspective with the perks, if you were talking about the perks, you could talk about how they're used against bots, and also thinking about how they're used in PvP perspective, because that's the 2 things that's going to be deciding whether or not this specific perk is going to change or not. Now we know that Shadow Remedy have changed, and the fact that critical mass have also changed. It used to be a growing critical chance, but since the developers added that near critical charge to the heralds, now the critical mass have changed to a completely new description of just breaching the block, trying to be. It looks like the perk itself is a wannabe block breaker, is a wannabe breacher. The difference is that you can penetrate the enemy a block with basic attacks, while Breacher, the damage will transfer to the enemy even if they block, which can open for other combo extensions in 2 different ways. At least they both have a little bit purpose onto it. Other than that, I don't really see any change so far. I don't even see it. No, I don't. I just do not. So yeah, that's it. That's all. All of the balances, all of the questions and facts and answers. There you go, guys. That's all I had to elaborate for this video. Now it's been a very long time talking, and there's gonna be more fresh news sliding by for you guys. So don't worry, they will all slide by. We for a fact have some Shadow Fight Arena news to cover up, and I'll be uploading that later on today. So be sure to sit down, relax, and wait until Boston Modern have something to say for the new Shadow Fight Arena news, because you will miss it. You don't want to miss it. And other than that, guys, I hope you guys have a great day forward, and I'll get to the Ways of Legion and all the fun builds that we're going to be running together. And until then, I'll catch you guys.